What's up everyone, this manga is created by JNOZ, so as always, support them using the link in the description so projects like this continue in our community. Time, a variable notion that offers many possibilities. On the scale of the infinite universe, we know so much about the dragon world. Not long ago, we learned the existence of gods far surpassing the most powerful warriors in our realm, but even they are irrelevant to this story. This story takes place in the same universe we all know, but in a different timeline. In a desolated future, the familiar time machine sits outside the remains of Capsule Corp in West City. With some kind of device in her palm, Bulma announces they should now have enough juice to make a round trip, before handing over a case of capsules, believing they will serve well in the past. While she's thinking about it, she also feels a change of clothes is in order, as to not rouse suspicion from any of their old friends. Jogging over in a Capsule Corp baseball tee, Trunks admits he wishes he were the one going back in time. He would have really liked to meet the others, especially his father. It appears they're speaking to someone off camera, not each other. It's freaking Gohan. Handing over a sword, Trunks wanted to give it to him before he took off. With any luck, it'll prove useful where he's going, telling him to hold up as there's one last thing he wants to do. Rushing over to the time machine, his mother questions what he's doing. He pulls out a marker to write a message. Bulma, now sort of understanding, asks what kind of design he's going to make. Finishing, he doesn't know why, but for whatever reason, he feels a closeness to this single word. The same that was written on the machine in our own timeline. Gohan promises he will bring back with him the hope they are looking for. What could have happened if a certain warrior had survived his battle with the androids of the future and left 2 years earlier? Blasting into the sky, Gohan's last remaining friends from this era cheer him on. What challenges await him in the past, and will his substitution of Trunks change the events to come? Year 782. Gohan vanishes from an age of chaos, swirling back 18 years to when he himself was only a small child. Year 764. A ship from the other corner of the galaxy arrives on Earth. With it is Frieza and his father, King Cold, who have decided to take their revenge on the last remaining Saiyans after the former's embarrassing defeat on Namek at the doing of the fabled Super Saiyan himself. Touching down on the planet, Frieza, his father, and a handful of Frieza Force soldiers disembark, although Goku would not be present for another 3 hours. Looking down at his son with a devilish grin, Cold inquires if he really intends on waiting for the Super Saiyan to arrive, but he actually thought he would have a little fun playing with the Earthlings while they wait, commanding 2 of his men to explore the surrounding area, who are quick to comply. His mood flipping to fury in an instant, the tyrant vows to make that Saiyan regret his delay in arriving, considering it a small compensation for what he has done. A spontaneous explosion rings out from behind, at least one of his men already dead. Peering up to see what's going on, the other dangles lifelessly as someone seems to be holding him in the air. Zooming, this soldier is clearly dead as well, dropping him right in front of the dictator. The villain smirks, inquiring just who might this be, giving us our first look at future Gohan, who, by large, has nearly the exact same design as Trunks. Without breaking eye contact, he informs rather not who he is, but what he has come for, to put an end to this monster once and for all. Though bewildered, not used to such confidence in his wake, Frieza asks the less than stranger to repeat that, assuring he must not know who he's talking to. But Gohan knows exactly who he is, but doesn't elaborate further. Finding flattery his reputation has reached even a backwater planet like Earth, alas, he doesn't have time for games, instructing another one of his henchmen to put an end to this nonsense. And with a power reading of merely 10, he is happy to oblige. However, Gohan doesn't bother to deflect the attack, such as Trunks did, instead opting to blast the crony into oblivion, possibly causing severe damage to the ship in the process. Putting everything else aside, Frieza gets a kick out of seeing this warrior isn't all talk after all, asking what his men are waiting for. But just like Trunks, Gohan has clearly been practicing his swordsmanship, cutting down a slurry of minions. The Z-Warriors finally sense what's going on, and the Frost Demons aren't the only formidable fighters nearby. Unfortunately, one in attendance can't feel power levels. Worried, she asks the others what's happening. Krillin states a huge new power just appeared and wiped out a bunch of little ones. But naturally, that should be impossible if Goku isn't here. letting his curiosity and urgency get the better of him. Piccolo comments they will have to get a little closer to find out for sure what the situation is. Showing no forgiveness in his eyes, Gohan scowls to Frieza. Now it's his turn to die. But a lifetime of superiority in battle, mostly, has given him an air of cockiness, only chuckling to his father if he heard that, and ironically laughing at the challenger's overconfidence. Doubling down, the Saiyan remarks they not hesitate in fighting together. As a matter of fact, that might just make things interesting if they're lucky, as he won't be nearly as easy on him as Son Goku. Frieza finds curiosity in these two knowing each other, though at the moment doesn't bother inquiring how, as he has something else on his mind, asking if he can pick his brain for a moment. Not losing the fierce expression on his face, Gohan gives him the go-ahead. The tyrant couldn't help but notice the familiar appearance and fighting style, wondering if he is possibly a Saiyan as well. Feeding the conversation, our hero quips to know what if that's the case. And if so, the Frost Demon states he'll be forced to eliminate him before Goku arrives. Having made a dire mistake well over 20 years ago, he's set on doing the job right this time. The sentence forces a smile upon Gohan's face as well, jabbing he didn't make just one mistake. He has always underestimated the Saiyans, and that arrogance is what nearly got him killed on Namek. But he's in for a surprise today. Son Goku isn't the only Super Saiyan in the universe. There's another one right in front of him. For the moment, this sends a chill down the spines of the villains, as they clearly second-guess their confidence. And Gohan not flinching or stuttering is just icing on the cake. But quickly coming back to his usual smug self, Frieza jests he doesn't know if he should laugh or tremble in fear. Getting flashbacks of Namek, a frigid sweat begins pouring from the Emperor. Sure, this must be some kind of nightmare. Slowly making their way over, the others feel this as well and are just as astonished as their enemy. Though overwhelmed with joy, Gohan is positive this must be his father. He'd know that key signature anywhere. Judging by the look on Vegeta's face, he at least seems to be considering the idea, albeit frustrated how much more their gap has widened. Appearing to be thinking something similar, Piccolo can't believe this could really be Goku's energy, as it's so much different from the last time they saw each other. More mildly curious than afraid, Cold inquires of his son if this is what a Super Saiyan looks like. But downright terrified, Frieza barely manages to get out the words to confirm it is. His smile now gone, Gohan stares down his opponent, driving the intimidation factor even higher. But the warrior at hand is hardly what Frieza fears directly, as when he looks at this Saiyan, all he can see is the man who cut him down, making him what he is today. The fabled golden-haired, green-eyed warrior. To him, the pair look exactly the same, causing a mixture of disgust, fear, and fury all at once. The anticipation coming to its apex, Gohan bellows it's time for Frieza to finally meet his end. Only fooling himself, the Frost Demon refuses to believe these self-proclaimed lies. The gang watching from a distance, Krillin calls out for everyone to get to safety as the fight has begun. Smoke encompasses the battlefield, while Frieza still tries to focus on any movement in the debris. Cold chalks this up as an easy victory, laughing that amateur was all talk and had no chance from the beginning. Attempting to mirror his father's confidence, Frieza places his hands on his hips, scoffing this was merely a warm-up before Goku arrives, nothing more than a meaningless gruff against a surely fake Super Saiyan. From the dust, a voice mocks Frieza should have used all of his power, who obviously believed his own denial. The air clearing, only Gohan's arm becomes visible, signifying he effortlessly blocked the attack. Before taunting if he doesn't take this seriously, it's going to get very painful, very fast. While as of yet not much has differed from the original story we know, the course of time has often proven to be quite unstable, changing unexpected events in the blink of an eye. Could this mean Gohan will hold back against his foes? Or possibly, Frieza and Cold have a contingency plan that wasn't previously explored canonically. Not long ago, a few days after Frieza's reconstruction outside Cold's primary planet, the king gazes out to the endless stars of space, pondering the happenings that have recently transpired. Turning his head, he questions if his son truly wants to leave immediately, believing it would be beneficial for him to train a little and get used to his now mostly artificial body, as we see a close-up of many wires and plates that now hold the Emperor together. Still full of himself, Frieza assures he feels more powerful than ever and desires only one thing at the moment. Worst case scenario, he knows his father will be there as well this instance, so there is no chance he will lose a second time. Grunting, Son Goku is going to suffer like no other before. He will exterminate the Saiyans and wipe out the entire Earth from ever existing, vowing to scour and pillage the whole galaxy if he has to. Had he known Saiyans of all organisms could put him in this state, he would have been much more thorough in destroying Planet Vegeta all those years ago. Appearing swayed by his son's passionate monologue, he comments the matter is then settled. They will head to Earth immediately to enact their revenge on that race of primitive life forms, once and for all. Back at the fight, Cold and Frieza, or at least Frieza, continue to look baffled at the event playing out before them. Breaking the silence, an apathetic Gohan recommends they get down to business, causing the demon to fume he not get cocky after surviving a single blast. When Cold scolds his son, shouting that's enough. He condemns he didn't come all this way to watch his child lose control over himself, not to mention the situation going on. He presses this is not an opponent he cannot defeat. He is nothing special and merely getting in his head. Besides, he is not to suffer the same fate as their ancestor said to have fallen to a Super Saiyan as well, this ancestor being Lord Chilled, which you can learn all about in my Bardock After complete story video in the link below. Regaining his composure, Frieza recants his previous aggression, inquiring what his father proposes they do. Acting wisely, he recommends they'll simply accept his advice from before and facing the Saiyan together. As a team, they will easily make short work of him. Besides, it's been a while since he's had any need to do more than a stretch. This could be a fun bit of exercise. The pair powering up, Frieza narrows his eyes, hissing they get this over quickly before the real Super Saiyan arrives. And the first significant change from the original series. This time, Frieza and Cold will attack in tandem from the very beginning, while Gohan is presumed to be even stronger than Trunks at this point in the story. What tricks do the Frost Demons have up their sleeves to change history?